Paul, I'm going to start with you because we saw in Katie Hannon's report that for some people at least we're seeing the beginnings of a turnaround. So I say to you that, you know, the time for revolution has passed, that if people haven't risen up against this government at this stage, it's not going to happen.
For the vast majority of people, there is no turnaround whatsoever. What is happening under the banner of recovery is a complete robbery of ordinary people, of young people, of working people, of pensioners. In every single way, people are being completely hammered. They're being hammered in terms of the USC. They've been hammered already by the property tax, by the household tax. There are people, many people, very scared of losing medical cards, and now you have the water tax on top of it.
Okay.
People simply can't make ends meet.
But isn't it a fact, Paul, that the dole queues are shortening and the number of people unemployed is reducing every month?
It's a fact that the GDP in this country declined last year. Yes, we have a small number of increased jobs, which we welcome, but the point is, what kind of jobs are being created? Under the Labour Party, what's being created is an extremely low-wage, precarious, short-term contract workforce. JobBridge, which is pushed by the Youth Guarantee, which is made compulsory by the Youth Guarantee that Emer Costello champions. It makes JobBridge compulsory through saying that if people refuse to do it, they'll have their dole cut to €75. That gets at the heart of the kind of recovery that is being built. It's a recovery for the very richest in our society, whereas for the rest of people, things continue to get worse. I want to answer the point about banking union. We voted against that banking union in the European Parliament because it makes the European Central Bank the most powerful non-elected institution in the entire world.
It makes them,
excuse me, I'll finish. It does not, that's rubbish. Excuse me, it makes it responsible for monetary policy and also supervision of the banks. It does nothing in terms of our banking debt whatsoever, and member states will still be on the hook for banking debt in the future. It's no answer whatsoever. The ECB, they're the people who oversaw the removal of elected governments in Italy and Greece and their replacement with governments by bankers for bankers. That's the kind of Europe that we have. We have a bankers Europe, a bondholders Europe, a big business Europe, and what we need to do is to build a Europe that actually represents the millions as opposed to always the millionaires.
We need to be able to make agreement with people across the Parliament. You don't do that by sort of hard left groups shouting, roaring and screaming, not being able to have any speech.
Going to do?
No, I'm talking about the hard left and Sinn Féin.
What we don't need, is more MEPs who are just yes men and yes women. That's what we've had over the past number of years. I have been the only MEP who has been a thorn in the side of the juggernaut of austerity that is being driven by the European Commission in the interest of the financial markets, of the banks. Nessa, unfortunately, for all her words now, she campaigned for the austerity treaty. She voted to transfer powers from elected governments to the unelected European Commission. She voted to give the Commission the right to fine states if they didn't do enough austerity. Exactly the same as what Emer did,
Paul,
exactly what all the other MEPs from Ireland did.
Nessa Childers has a mandate to be there. You just got lucky. You got your seat because somebody else left, Joe Higgins.
I have a mandate. Joe Higgins was elected 5 years ago on the basis of what he stood for.
You weren't elected.
Joe Higgins was elected on the basis of what he stood for. I stand for those same ideas. Unlike the Labour Party, I haven't forgotten what James Connolly stood for. James Connolly described the socialist movement as the great anti-theft movement. The Labour Party has managed to turn that on its head into the great robbery of ordinary people. And that's why the elections, they were an opportunity to build a movement that actually represents people.
You campaigned in previous campaigns and elections on a political cronyism basis. Surely getting the seat of one of your mates, that's cronyism at the highest level.
As you know, Claire, we don't make those rules. The choice after Joe Higgins was elected to the Dáil, we had two choices. We could have taken the seat on someone on the replacement list, or it would have gone to someone in the government. We thought it was more democratic and better in the interest of ordinary people that it went to someone who was opposed to the austerity agenda. And I think I have, in my 3 years over there, really represented people. The Irish Examiner said that I was the second hardest working MEP in the Parliament. But that didn't mean that I wasn't also on the ground here, organising meetings across Dublin, against the household tax, against JobBridge, against all these measures that have been driven and are damaging.
Let me just speak up for independence, like myself and other candidates in the European elections, but also in the Dáil. Look at who the people are that have revealed and brought to light the most terrible scandals in the state recently with the Garda and other matters. So let me just speak up for independence, and not just for political parties, but I personally will never be in another Irish political party under any circumstance.
Paul, is there a lot to be said for that? Maybe you'll go down the same route yourself?
We need to build a new movement in this country. And the Labour Party is going to be devastated.
This is going to do it on her own.
The Labour Party is going to be devastated in these elections. And the question is, what is going to arise to replace the Labour Party as something that actually represents working class people? The Socialist Party feels it's a very important part of that, but then also obviously the other forces involved.
Has a very proud tradition of 100 years.
Our time is up. Thank you all very much indeed for being with us. And the best of luck to you.